Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Lin of Rehab and Physical Therapy. So I've got a foam roll in my hand, and as you guessed, we're gonna do a whole series on foam rolling and how to do it comprehensively and safely. So I call this active foam rolling, and I discuss this over with my patients, my fitness clientele, and to address all the muscle dysfunction needs. So classically, let's talk about muscle themselves. They need to shorten and lengthen. And there's a couple ways that actually prevent muscle shortening and lengthening. We call it muscle tone, which is generally a reflexive loop controlled by your brain and your spine. And then the next one is actually what my mentor Greg Johnson calls muscle play issues. And those are things like adhesions that kind of, get things stuck between muscle grooves themselves. So these are things that prevent sliding, gliding, and spinning around certain access points. So those are the things that you really need to keep in mind before we go into the actual foam roll principles. So I actually have 5 principles, and one of them is what some people already discussed already, is just holding the spot and just breathing into it and letting it release. That really addresses certain things like muscle tone. And then the next thing is what classically people do is just rolling up and down, and that's what we call elongation. So we do want to take care of that, but usually it only lasts about 5 minutes. So you want to go back and do it again. So that's really not addressing the full scope of muscle dysfunction. The next thing is what I call the third phase is what I call shearing. So we want to be able to shear over that muscle kind of like this and break up scar tissue. And then another way to break up more scar tissue is the next phase I call rotationals. So we want a rotation around these certain muscles. And then on top of that, we like to finish it up with active stretching. So we like to active stretch and use the joints that are involved and really make it more physiological and improve it that way. So stay tuned and we'll get right back to you soon. All right, let's dive right in. So we got some basic principles that are working for or against us, and we call it gravity. So, you only tolerate what you can. Obviously, check with your professional, see if this is something worth doing at home. So what you really want to look at is, okay, how much preference can you handle, how much you tolerate. If you're guarding and you're doing this, it's actually really not that effective. So you want to be able to find the right place where things can settle and melt right in. So if this is all pressure it takes, I like generally, if you don't have the strength to do the rolling, just use a half foam roll. That's what I use for some patients here. So just holding it right here and just breathing into it. If you need a little bit more pressure, you put one leg right over this, and you can just also breathe into it. And then the next thing you can do is actually, if you want to get more lift, is to do that. So these are things that you're going to be seeing me do as I go on. So it should take roughly about 15-20 seconds to release. So let's talk about these little half foam rolls, and I'll have some links to the places I order my foam rolls from. So right here, this is more of your travel sized one. You can take this anywhere for you marathoners. So right here, I want to do this. So like I said, breathe, but this is what classically people do. So you're going to lift, make sure you've got the right wrist strength. If not, use your fists. So right there, great. And then like I said, the next thing is shearing. So I like going right on this spot, and this breaks up so much, and it's really tender, but on myself. Great. And so that's what we're doing. And then, like I said, the next thing is rotationals. So why don't we do rotationals? Great. So, oh boy, this is trying to force these muscles to, slide and glide past each other. And then the last thing I like to do is active stretching. So like I said, so we can just pump your ankle. Very important muscles underneath here, these gastrocs, these calves, and boy, this is a great way to go after it and then, move on. And so perfect, it took about a minute, and I'm good to go, and that's much more flexible. So if you like what we're doing, stay tuned, subscribe below, and leave a like, comment, of course. I'm Dr. Lin of Rehab and Physical Therapy. We'll see you next time. Remember, we can and we will get better together. All right, so let's talk about the quads.